Yesterday I was watching an analysis by David Hondeyen, the Nigerian investigative journalist, on the crisis in Benin, Republic of Benin, a small coastal West African state that has just survived a coup attempt. One of the latest in a string of coup or military takeovers in West Africa. His analysis is quite succinct. He was talking about a bit, primarily talking about the Nigerian government's military intervention in Benin. And one other thing he mentioned was how that opens the room for the Donald Trump's administration to justify his potential military intervention or military invasion of Nigeria based on this ruse of a Christian genocide. While I agree with most of David's insightful analysis, also bringing in the French dimension into it and how Nigerian government might have been acting on behest of the French request. That is quite interesting analysis we've been seeing recently. The closeness between the Tinubu administration and Emmanuel Macron. So, but let's focus on the salient point that David raised about whether the United States might use that as a justification of attacking. Now, I disagree. And I disagree because just a slight disagreement. On this case, when nations are going to intervene, so there's a responsibility to protect, where when a government of a country, it's for instance, if a government country is the oppressor, is oppressing its people and committing genocide, then the international community must, and there are frameworks for that, including the United Nations Security Council or the kind of like international organs that may sanction that. But when you have missions in these countries, or peacekeeping, the host country must also give permission for you to come there. So we see what happened in Mali, where Mali has the United Nations Stabilization Mission to leave sometimes, I think 2 years ago. The host country must. So in this case, the Benin uh, government has requested the the Nigerian has requested Nigeria to intervene against a faction of the military that seems to have planning this coup or taking over. They already taken up some part, like the national TV, where they've announced um, the suspension of the constitution and taking over government. But this was clearly Nigeria sent a warplane and then later troops. Now, again, there's also that question of the Tinubu administration acted uh, against the constitution of Nigeria, where you need to get permission. But there also laxity where you could have some executive leeway or executive, where in this case as well, it might be possible to do so in an emergency. Well, by and large, this is what I want to talk about. That's not even that's not the crux of the matter. The matter is this. We've been having strings of coup d'etats in Africa. There's been a resurgence. We had in Mali, in Burkina Faso, Niger, there was one in Madagascar. There was even a speculated coup attempt in Nigeria, the Guinea-Bissau, and the African Union, ECOWAS, hasn't shown uh, that same level of concern, or that level of what's that word now? I don't want to use the word. That level of intervention to either revert or protect constitutional democracy or stop this. And now again, you ask yourself, what are we even protecting? Why haven't we shown? Why in these organs, this government, protecting good governance? Why are they not promoting that in the first instance? Because let's not forget the fact that the the legitimacy or the validity of the factors that are leading to these military takeovers. We've seen these places that happen in Madagascar, this protest, this frustration of the youth, of the populace against bad governance, against election manipulation. You see what happened in Togo recently. And in many of those places where constitution are being engineered and re-engineered, where presidential term limits are being manipulated, extended, expanded, where people, some families or people are entrenching themselves in power. So happened in Cameroon, where Paul Biya's remaining nearly 100 remaining in power, holding grip into power. We see in Ivory Coast, we see all of these places. Why are the African unions and ECOWAS and all these organs, regional organs, why are they not intervening in those places? Why are they not promoting democracy? Why are they not promoting the rule of law, fair rule of law? Why are they not promoting elections? Why are they not involved in making sure that elections are free, elections are fair, elections reflect the will of the people? Why are they protecting sham constitutions? Some of these constitutions that we're talking about sham, why are they protecting corrupt, quote unquote, civilian governments? So this is where the question comes in. Like I've said, if you look at my recent stuff, the military is not a savior. The military has no good intention. For the military, all these military takeovers, military leaders are self-serving. They are for their personal interest. So, but the question is, there's organs, the Tinubu administration, the Nigerian government that are so effective and quick in intervening in this place. Why are we not applying the same energy, the same effort in advancing democracy, true democracy, in protecting and making sure that corrupt leaders have, face those consequences, in making sure that the will of the people are protected, that the rights of the people are protected and not infringed upon. Look at what's going on in Sudan. It's going on for years. What are we doing? What's the African Union doing in that regard? Because I've learned the ECOWAS extend its standby army, and we see recently as well, a military plane, Nigerian military was detained in Burkina Faso because it looks like they're saying it's impeding or violated its airspace. And then they formed an alliance of Sahel states, Niger, Mali, and all of that. So my question is, Africa needs to sit down and be serious about what values define, what values that we're defined by, so that we can protect those values, promote those values. And in my research as well, we're looking at the democracy. Democracy is, there's no one model of democracy. We also have to look at the elections, look at the electoral ombudsman, you look at the people that are set to protect the votes of the people are not doing that. So what platform do you give people? Some of these soldiers, to be fairness again, you see that there is some sympathy or empathy or attraction for military takeovers in Africa, because the people feel like they don't have a voice, they don't have a platform to express their frustration, they don't have a voice. But the military itself, like I say, some of this may see them different factions supporting, protecting the regime, some challenging it. Everybody's just looking for their own position, for their own. So what happens to the people? What happens to the masses? So until the governments in Africa and the regional states, and until the regional governments, the continental government, start putting the people at the heart of whatever they do, the interests of the people, until Africa unites. No. In a way where we'll find a common ground, common values that will put the people at the heart of it, advancing their improving their living conditions, advancing their interests, promoting good health, good education, right to life, protected right to look like it was going in Nigeria. Like every day, like people are not safe. People are kidnapped, killed. You don't even have. I was just reading where some women protesting in Adamawa were shot down by the military. So what do you people that people can't even protest legitimately? So you begin to ask yourself, what other ways? And this also motivates people that take to violence because they believe that that is the only solution. Because only when they take to violence will they be caught on the table and be pampered and be given some positions. And then we see these positions where it looks like uh, this Africa is just so much militarized because everybody feels like violence is the key to getting a share of whatever it is they think they deserve. So I would just say, to just summarize, this is a different case. I don't think the Nigerian state, the Nigerian Tinubu administration did it out of office or didn't make that sole decision. They did that at the request of, you could say, maybe it's a corrupt government, but it's still an elected government, Patrice Talon's government in Benin. So it was one where they were invited. So Donald Trump's America can't use that logic to invade Nigeria. It's not that pretty straightforward. But again, we see all this geopolitical stuff going on. We also do see that the continental African Union, ECOWAS, can act. So it's not a question of incapacities, rather it's a question of will, political will. So I still say the African people, the destiny of the Africa development, Africa's progress is in the hands of the people. When the people have to wake up and then look for ways in which they can make a demand on their leaders. But this demand doesn't necessarily have to be through violent means. So I'll say we need a new elite, new African people that are aware and can create strategies in which to challenge and demand the change that Africa needs. But having said that, I think it's within done within. But again, we can look at the paradox where Nigeria is facing its own domestic issues of kidnapping, of banditry, and hasn't been able to solve. A lot of people have made that argument, but Nigeria has always been like that. Nigeria has always prioritized the big brother African stuff to its domestic issues. I don't know what it is where you don't solve your own issues and you want to appear strong to your neighbors and stuff. But anyways, I'll leave it at that. I just wanted to just touch on that base about the legality and whether we could see that as a parallel to Trump threatening to invade Nigeria. All right, thank you.